goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. To the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key and honest, rider. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. Things I'm on, you make everything feel fine. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the high, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, we can throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mugs.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. We're back again for another show, a little bit different. We intended to have a top table talk tonight, but we decided, we need to talk all things Newcastle United, and as always does, it kind of falls quite nicely into place as some news has dropped this evening. But first of all, mate, how are you?
Yeah, no, all good with me. Nearly halfway in the week, but yet not all good with me. Yeah, and then like as we were leading this up to the show, we said we switch it to focus solely on Newcastle, and then we're like the next 2 weeks. But then the positivity news starts to drop, so it's a mixed bag. So I expect a bit of both, a bit of discussion on a range of topics. But as always, good to chat all things Newcastle. Pete, how are you getting on?
Not too bad. Busy days as always. But look, we, as you say, we crack on through, and we're already close to being halfway through the week. So it won't be long before we're bearing down on the West Ham match on Monday. And as it becomes a massive game, I'm going to talk about it. There's no doubt about it. It is a big game. But welcome to all in the chat. I can see people putting their comments in. Putting their opinions in. Seen a couple of tunes in there, Andy Ford. I see you. I see you. There's a few.
Hasn't gone away. No. There's a few popping up. Right. No Chris tonight. Shout out to Chris and all the extended Hall family. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on the next one, Chris.
Definitely. And this one's quite fitting to one of the topics that we'll be covering, because William Smith has put the old cash signs for the noughts and the zeros, and maybe we'll be seeing some of that in the summer. But first of all, Daz, we labeled this show a massive 2 weeks, a season-defining 2 weeks. Why is it for you a season-defining 2 weeks? What are the reasons behind it, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, like up until a few days ago, everyone knows we're battling on all sides. Everything we started off the season being in, we're still in. We're still a cup champions as well, of course, but we're still in the FA Cup at the time, and we're in the League Cup. We are in the League Cup final, and we're battling for Europe. Still are. And battling to try and even get back in the Champions League. Just took a bit of a shine off that, because things fell apart. For back to our disaster showing on the day as well, with players that are some more picking up injuries, others not coming back from injuries, and others getting red cards, and being out of the final more or less, barring some kind of miracle or that, but that's not going to happen. So Gordon being out, and like quite obviously a big question mark then over Isaac. Will he be fit for it? And then Botman as well, not getting minutes. He needs to get minutes before the final as well. So that's why we kind of that's why it's. There's a bit of a lot of negativity around on that sense. So then, in the lead up to this 12 days that are left, we need to. I'm saying we need to win at West Ham to keep our Champions League home hopes alive. And I'm thoroughly believe fifth spot will get us the Champions League this season. But just to keep things alive there, because the League Cup final is just one day out, one game left there, 90 minutes, or 90 plus minutes, and you can't just pin everything on that. So, and then be left with nothing. So we have to go for it in the game against West Ham. And equally, some players need minutes. Some players need performances as well to get into that team. There might be spots opening up in that team now in that League Cup final. So it is a massive 12 days. It's Eddie Howe had doubters. We questioned him ourselves at points this season, and we threw down a challenge to him. And we're throwing down another challenge to him now. And the players, not just Eddie Howe here, because he can only do so much, but he has to get them in the mindset, himself and Jason Tyndall, towards the West Ham game, and then leading into the League Cup final, which is going to be a very difficult task against a very good Liverpool side who have won the league and are battling in the Champions League as well. So it is massive, and like I don't want to think about us failing on all fronts in the next 12 days, and then we're still not out of it. But it's going to be, we make things more difficult for us then. So that's why it's Save Our Season, SOS is in the thumbnail so with the picture of Eddie Howe there. That's more than Eddie. How about you, Pete? Why is it season defining for you?
It is season defining because of the potential fallout that could happen after these next three games. And I have to say, it is the next three games because it goes on beyond the Carabao Cup final for me. Yeah. And so I'll explain, West Ham, someone just put in the chat, West Ham isn't an easy game. It absolutely isn't. They're on an upward trajectory now with Graham Potter as manager, and they're picking up some results. Let's not forget they got a result at the Emirates like us, but in the Premier League just the other week. So they're feeling confident right now. They've had a bit of a rest. They've not been in the FA Cup. They'd have had 2 weeks rest. They're going to be fit and firing and ready to go on that Monday, and we're not. And we're in the opposite state. We're trying to, patch up players and get them just ready, just to put out there to play. And that's not a great place to be if you're Newcastle United and you're 2 weeks away from a Carabao Cup final, which, can define a club, let alone a season, in that one game in itself. But you're looking at the situation, and of course the Carabao Cup's massive. We want to win that. We want to win the trophy, but we're coming up against the best team arguably in Europe right now on form and quality. And so it's not going to be easy. And then you take it, regardless of whether we win or lose, we have then an international break, and then we come back, not to an FA Cup game, but we come back to a midweek game against Brentford. And Brentford are playing well at the moment. Brian Mbeumo, Wissa, there's a number of other players in their team that are having a good season and playing well, and they're picking up now results away from home. So they're a difficult team. So those 3 games in themselves in the next 3-4 weeks or so, 5 weeks even, are absolutely massive for Newcastle United. Absolutely massive. And it will give us an idea of where we're going to go. First of all, it's going to give us, from a Carabao Cup perspective, whether we're walking away with a trophy or not. Mm-hmm. It's that simple. Okay? Walk away with a trophy or walk away with nothing. That's how it is. The second thing is, again. And then the second thing on top of that is, where will we be if we don't get the right results against West Ham and Brentford in the Premier League? You put it up after the previous game, Daz. You looked at the league table and you could see how tight it was in the league, not just from where we were or where Forest were in third, all the way down to even 8th, 9th, 10th. I think we had Villa in 10th and they were only like 4 points behind us. So that 4-point swing could change very quickly in those 2 games. And we could find ourselves, maybe not necessarily 10th, but we could certainly find ourselves in 8th, for example, with other teams picking up results. And that has a completely different complexion on where we're fighting in this league. And so from a confidence point of view, from all of those things, looking at where we need to be and where we need to go, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And the frustration about it all is what you said, Daz, is that, you know, you're looking at around the squad and you're looking at Isak. Is he fit? Is he not? You're looking at Botman. Is he going to be fit and ready for West Ham or even the cup final, you know, in 2 weeks' time? You got Lewis Hall's situation. We don't know what's going on. We have no idea what's going on. And then you look at some of the players that are currently in the team playing. Callum Wilson doesn't look the same player. You've got Anthony Gordon that's now suspended and not available for the final. Okay, and for those 3 games. We don't see Anthony Gordon now until we play away at Leicester in early April, I believe, in the Monday night game. That's the next time we see Anthony Gordon, or he's available for the game. You're looking at other players. Murphy's completely dropped off a cliff in terms of his level of form. Bruno's been called out for not playing at the level that we're used to seeing him. Byrne, who's ever dependable, has dropped off. Shaw has dropped off. The goalkeeper situation, we're not even going to get into again because we got into it the other day, and it was a lot.
We get into it every show.
So, you know, for all these reasons, it is absolutely massive. It's massive.
But at the same time, Pete, these are the same players that went on that crazy run. I don't know how many games it was, 10 or something crazy that we went on and unbeaten. So it is possible. So but we're going to the well again to ask for more, to see out the season, really. But I haven't really started thinking about the Brentford game, because it for me it's getting things right in the West Ham game, hopefully getting players back and getting minutes, maybe not playing the full game, but getting minutes under the belt, and then being in somewhat fit state to go try and tackle Liverpool in the League Cup final, because we know we're going to be without Gordon. So, but who else are we going to be without? Is key. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. Just whatever magic Eddie Howe did before, just do it again, please.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what we need. And look at Aaron's comment here. Have to try and be optimistic if the club appeal the decision for Gordon. Apparently, Daz, I don't know what you think. I'm not convinced that's gonna get overturned.
Do you want to see it again, Aaron? Maybe you need to see it again. I can't. I can't see how that ever gets overturned. And I know I can't remember his name. It's Dermot Riley. The referee listed on Sky Sports. He said not a chance either.
I know what you mean, actually. The guy that's on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but the ex-referee,
former referee,
the one that always made it about him during his time as referee. I know you mean.
Not the one that was the actor who was falling over and everything like that. No, this fellow was all right, I think. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Andy Davis just put Gallagher in there. Is it Gallagher? Dermot Gallagher, right there. See,
I think it must be it.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. It is. But Aaron put the comment on there. We need a major response from the players in the game. I'm praying Botman is fit enough for the running, and look, so are we. We need Sven Botman back. He's absolutely crucial to this team. But Daz, did you want to go to the tactics board for any reason? Did you want to look at something in a bit of detail?
Yeah, we can. Because we let the viewers know as well. Like, our plan was originally, as you said, Pete, top table talk. Then we changed it. We said we'd do this the next 2 weeks, and we said we'd go look at the tactics board and how we should lay out for the West Ham game, and then maybe switch it up and what we know at the moment for the League Cup final. But then all the other news came on top of that. So I don't mind, Pete. We can go to the tactics board, or we can focus on the other news, or do a bit of both.
Okay, let's change tack then. Let's go to what let's go to what the people want to talk about here, and that is the big news. And Tom Dixon's put it out there. I apologize, our pictures are not quite picturing at the moment, so we can't get them up on the screen. I did have a nice little cutouts of various different topics of
storyboard.
Yeah, I did have a little bit of a storyboard. Hasn't quite worked. Never mind. We'll make it work regardless. So, as Tom Dixon's has put out, the financials have been released. We've been expecting them for a few weeks now. Kieran Maguire, when he was on with us during the last, I think January it was, when he came on back end of January, mentioned that the financial results were going to drop at any point. Well, here they are. And the key figures that we're looking at is that revenue is up by 28% from up to 320. Now, if I'm right in thinking, that is the highest outside the top six. So outside that traditional top six, our revenue is effectively seventh in that list. I think West Ham and Villa are slightly behind us with regards to revenue there. So that just shows us where we are in terms of progression. And that's down, that's up from 250, which was the previous. We've made a loss of 11.1 million after tax, and that's down from previously 71.8 million loss. So that's a huge improvement in terms of the amount of losses that we've made from year upon year. And that's a massive positive on the back of that. And wages to turnover ratio is now 68.3 from the previous 74%, which again is absolutely huge. So look, just from those little figures there, Daz, that have really been the snapshot. And thanks for Tom putting them in the chat. Spanner's always here and always putting in the good stuff. What do you make of those figures that have just dropped?
It's great, isn't it? The one word answer, great. It is. It's all positive. And I like the way as well it comes out and it kind of lifts a bit of the mood a bit, because automatically then you're thinking, I know Keith Downey's on Sky Sports as well, giving his comments on it, and it all turns to what can we spend in the summer? What are we going to buy? So what are we going to be able to spend? And then linking back to the sales we made in January with Miggy going and loaning out Kelly, and hopefully that turns into a permanent transfer. And then it's the savings and wages then, and then you could add in a few more sales maybe as well come the summer. How much can we actually spend? And I know for the last three windows we've been talking about players we're going to bring in. How many signings do we think we're going to bring in? And we're all guilty of that here. And anyone watching this show is also guilty of it, because everyone thought that we were going to be bringing in players, but it wasn't to be with PSR restrictions. So, but this summer, we're not. If we don't make a cash signing this summer, we're never doing a fully loaded transfer show again. Sorry, Pete, it's never happening. So this summer is make or break, because we're definitely going to be bringing in players. And then it talks of how much could we spend, and then no one knows. And there's, as Kieran Maguire said in his show with us at the start of February, that there's so many other factors as well that could change the outcome. The Man City case, the whole APT transactions saga, that's their APT2 that's going on in the background as well. Well, multiple different things that will and obviously where we finish up in the league, and if we're going into the Champions League, and then knowing, because those figures are part of the calculations as well, and just shows you that how much Champions League is worth to us. And we didn't even get out of the group that time. Should have, but we did in a crazy group of deaths. We worried, but so yeah, all positive, and it just makes you stop again and think to yourself, okay, the next 2 weeks we don't know what way it's going to go. I think I put a tweet out with the little emoji with the sunshades on. That could be us, literally us, or in the next 2 games. It may not, but what we know for definite is there's positive things to come in the medium to short term with I'm going into the things that Darnell said. So I'll stop for a second because I think we'll come to that in a second, because a lot of things to be positive about for the future.
Good. I'm exactly the same. How I always look at this financial situation, Daz, just from my perspective, is, have we made progress? Have we made progress as a club? Because we all know that this isn't going to be, and to be fair, Darren Hills talks about it. He talks about the fact that this is not going to be a I might have some images. Just bear with me a second.
Tom is sacked, is he?
No. Far from it. Tom is not sacked. We do have images, and it might well be a bingo. I might just put something up and we can just discuss it. But the images are there. That is for
That's
sure.
how we roll.
And that is how we roll, most definitely. But I always look at progress as I look at the situation, and I think to myself, are we growing each year? And yes, in terms of signing players and on the pitch, you might have a different opinion on that. But off the pitch, financially, we are. And people might say, well, football's not about financials, it's about what happens on the pitch. It is nowadays about financials, and we're making progress. And everything that we've said on there, and what Tom put on there initially, and I'll just put this image on the screen because this takes the snapshot as well from what Craig Hope had put on there. It talks about the we'll come back to that in a second. we'll come back to Tom's point. Let's stick with this. So
you're hired again, Tom.
Yeah, you're back. The 320 million in revenue, up by 28%. We're going to see potentially another jump in the next year too, because of the amount of sponsors and various different things that we're putting in place. So we're getting there you go. We're getting ever closer to them now. I believe, and I can't remember which team it is, but the team that's closest to us from that is around the 500-600 million in revenue. So we're still a way away, but as you can see, we're chipping and we're getting ever closer. And every time we up our revenue, it allows us to spend a little bit more. Now, the key to that is that, can we manage the revenue and the wages? Well, that's exactly what the club have done, because the club have dropped the amount of wages turnover ratio down from last season. So we've managed to cut wages. And you know what, Daz? Callum Wilson, Hayden, and there's a few others that could potentially be leaving the club either on freeze. Jamal Lascelles, you throw in there. Wages could come down again. Now, we will obviously reinvest that and try and get players in, but that's reinvesting the wages that we're going to be losing on those players back into better players. So even if we do sign better players on a little bit more wages, it's going to go up, but it's not going to go up astronomically in that situation. So we're managing it well. It's almost like we've prepared for it. We've chopped off the necessary waste. Horrible word to say, but
we know what you mean.
Yeah.
To quote Darren Neals, he said, sorry, to quote, they offloaded players that are not getting minutes on the pitch, and so their wages we're paying wages every week, but not getting minutes on the pitch. So it makes sense to offload. Sorry, carry on.
No, that's exactly the point. And so you look at that situation, and we're almost preparing for what I think we're all convinced of now, is that we're expecting a summer where we are going to significantly invest. These positions that we've been talking about for 3 windows will be addressed, and players will be coming in. So I'm looking at these figures, and it just makes me think, now it's time to reinvest. Now it's time to put money and players, quality players, back into this team. The key to it all, Daz, is what level of players and what competition we're going to be playing in, because that also has a factor too. There is no doubt in my mind that Sandro Tonali would not be a Newcastle United player had we not had Champions League football to offer when we did sign him. It's as simple as that. And, we want certain players, we want certain caliber, they want to be playing in certain competitions. So this is where this massive 2 weeks and everything that comes after that falls hand in hand with what happens in the summer, because we want to be offering these players that we want the opportunity to play in the best competitions: Champions League, Europa League, Europa Conference, because we're capable of winning it and winning a European trophy. All three of them should appeal to the players that we're looking to bring in. So lots of positivity there, lots of really good stuff around the financials and the information that came in. So in general, I'm really, really pleased to see that that's the kind of information that we're getting out from the club. And it was good to see and to hear Darren Eales talk about it in a bit more detail. However, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. There was more. And there was more because there was some really kind of important snippets that came out of Darren Eales' interview. And as I put on the screen earlier, poor timing.
First time seeing this.
Poor timing the first time, perfect the second. Darren Eales makes some big claims for me, in my opinion. Some of them, we will revisit Alexander Isak's contract in the summer, he mentions, but reminds the striker he's already on a long-term deal. Now, just let's stick with that for a second. As what are your opinions on that news around Alexander Isak? That we're not in a position where we're not talking to him. We plan to talk to him, and we plan to do it in the summer. Where do you sit with that?
Well, exactly the same as I said this morning, because nothing has changed from me. All this talk, and even one of my friends said to me in the mail today, I think Arsenal are talking about Isak. I was like, where have you been? Where have you been? When have they not been talking about Isak for the last, 6 months at least? But Alexander Isak is our player. Granted, we do need to get European football and maybe Champions League football for him to be 100% satisfied to be staying with us. And his people will be talking. Things will be coming to his people. Different options. There's even one today about PSG and then offering us a whole load of players and a cash deal. Forget it. We're not selling Isak. Pointed that out. He is on a long-term contract, and he deserves a better one, and he will get it in the summer. And I think we'll be able to meet his demands. And even if we're in Champions League, it's a no-brainer for him to stay where he is. He can achieve what he wants to achieve by signing a new contract and sticking with us.
Yeah, agreed. Look, for me, I think Isak's a player that I don't think leaves this summer. I think there's an opportunity to look at Isak keeping and staying at the club. Let's not forget in this situation that Alexander Isak hasn't openly talked about leaving the club. Alexander Isak has always put that information to the side. There has been no rambles on about agents wanting to try and get him a move. Certainly not in the wider media. Alexander Isak has always been quite professional in the way in which he speaks. And ultimately, as Darren Eales says, he has 3 years on his contract. And I think he mentions it here in this image. This is what Darren Eales said. The reality is that all of our players are under long-term deals. They're committed to the club. So from that perspective, we're not looking to move any player on. We have no intentions at all of those players being moved on. And that comment there is what he's very specifically saying about the top players, the top level players. And Alexander Isak is at the absolute top, at the point of what he's trying to refer to. So we are where we are with him. He's a Newcastle United player. He needs to be aiming to achieve Champions League football with us, and Newcastle United will look to open talks with Alexander Isak, but reminds him the fact that he's still got 3 years left on his deal. I think we get, even if we don't sign a new contract, or Alexander Isak doesn't sign a new contract, we get at least another year from him, and we have an opportunity then to kick on again and really go for it, because at this time we'll have players added to the squad that can really kick us on potentially. So it's
just
go on.
Just thinking about Darren Eales, because like all the things he's come out with, we'll get to all of them, but all the things he come out with is all positive and exactly what we want to hear. Now he has come out previously though. He's not a yes man or just giving us what we want to hear. He has come out previously and told us, was it January 12 months ago, that we needed to sell, or we were not going to be able to we have to watch ourselves with PSR, and it was like a make us an offer for certain players as well. He came out with that kind of a statement in the past, so he can deliver bad news or news that we don't want to hear as well. So I believe in what he's saying here, and it sounds like we're going to be in control of anyone we want to sell, and Isak is definitely not one of them.
And isn't that all we've asked? Isn't that all we've asked?
Yeah.
Is from our own, communication and them to just be open and honest with the situation. The fact that they don't want to let go of their best players, and they want to keep hold of them and build and grow as a team. Like this is why I think that particular statement is quite a big one, because he's made that statement openly, without force, without us demanding it in any way, shape, or form. He's openly come out and told the Newcastle United journalist today that he has no intentions of selling the top players. For me, that's a statement that he cannot then go back on. He has to fulfill that, which, if he doesn't, and one of those players does go and Isak does get sold for the summer, for example, that's going to be egg on his face. That's going to make the club look bad. That's going to give a false narrative of the situation, because he's saying that he wants to keep his best players, that he doesn't want to sell them, that we're looking to add to the team. All the things that Eddie Howe said, we're looking to add to the team, not get rid of these top players. So I think
I'd argue one caveat there, Pete, is that like, let's say a player like Kabay previously, if they really wanted to leave and they made their case to leave and handed in transfer request, he has no control over that. No, we still has a contract, we don't have to sell, and we're going to sell. We'd only sell for a crazy figure, but it's just as well. We need to keep him happy as well. Given the way the contract he wants, and let's hopefully get into Europe and hope even better at Champions League. So he's got no excuse to even consider looking elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's give ourselves the best possibility to do that. The only thing I'll say with that is that we've had players in the past that have maybe asked to leave. Not at Newcastle United, I mean, just in general. I mean, I always look at a similar situation with Harry Kane, for example. He was linked with every top club every year, whether it's Man City, Man United, when they were kind of doing well. There was teams in Europe. There was all these other teams that were constantly saying that they wanted Harry Kane. There was always this speculation that he was going to leave every year. And then eventually signed a new contract. And it goes on and on and on. And he eventually leaves because he's got 1 year left on his deal, and so therefore they effectively cash in on him because he's only got a year left and he wasn't going to sign a new contract. But from our perspective, we're in a little bit of a similar position, and it doesn't mean that it can't be that situation. It doesn't mean that we do have this ridiculously boring speculation all the time about a player like Isak leaving, but he continues to stay. And who's, like you said, as we get Champions League football, he signs a new contract, but it's going to continue on. The thing that I'm saying is that this stuff is always going to continue with our players. When we've got good quality players, there are always going to be teams that are higher reputable teams in the world that are going to want these players. It's just a fact. But wanting them doesn't mean that they necessarily get them. They're two very, very different things. You know, well, we were hearing for the last year that it was Arsenal. All of a sudden now, all we're hearing that is it's Liverpool, and that Liverpool are going to spend 150 million. When was the last time they spent anywhere near that type of money? I know. It was a player that we were linked with in Darwin Núñez, and look what happened there. I'm not convinced that Liverpool are going to be willing to pay 150 million, because I think that's what it will cost to get Alexander Isak at the club. Because I'm not saying that they haven't got the money, but I'm not sure they're going to be willing to take a significant chunk of their budget out on one player. I don't think Liverpool have the finances of a Man City, of a Chelsea, to pay that sum of money and be okay with it. I just don't think they have.
You can see, though, from a journalist point of view, they're easy stories to write. Yeah. Arsenal desperately need a striker. They're playing Mourinho up front. Liverpool, Salah, what's happening with the contract? They need someone to come in. You know, PSG, they have the money to splash. Real Madrid always want the next Galactico on the career belt. So it's easy to link Isak to and Barcelona as well, who would never have any money, but can never register players and everything, the trials and tribulations with Barcelona. So these are all the teams he's been linked with. So they're easy stories to write or fabricate. So jog on with them as we have in the Isak video. Let us continue the season. Let's see where we are, and we know our state of play from our CEO already, our stance on things.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. There's some other little snippets that came out there, and this is where we're going to play a little bit of bingo, because I'm not quite sure what's going to come out. So I'm going to get rid of that because we've covered that, and that because we've covered that. Let's see what pops up. What does this say? At the moment, the way we approach from ownership down, and everyone is aligned, is that we maximize our revenues and spend to the max we're allowed to. We incur those losses of 105 million over 3 years to give Eddie and the team the best possible players on the pitch that he wants. I was thinking, as I was reading that, why did I take a clip of that? And there was a reason for it. And the reason is in my head, because, in my opinion, there's been a lot of speculation from Newcastle United fans about the fact that PIF are not interested in Newcastle United. PIF are going to pull out. PIF are going to sell up. They're not willing to reinvest into this team. Does that quote from Darren Eales to you suggest that that the owners are doing everything they possibly can for Newcastle United, in your opinion, Daz, from what you've read just there?
Yeah, I read this article as well, and he clarifies that they're still 100% on board. They still have the same objectives they had as they started out with. And I'm jumping onto one of the other bingos cards you have there, people. They're going to make a decision on the stadium pretty soon, but they wanted to wait and I can say it is frustrating that the decision hasn't been made, but they're going to wait to they don't want to make the wrong decision and regret it 20 years later. But there he is. That's the quote. But it is coming very soon. I think for myself, it is delayed because of the League Cup final. That they don't want to take the gloss away from that, or distract in any way from it, or have any kind of a negative impact on the lead up to that. So I know there's isn't there a fans forum meeting as well? It's all because Peter Silverstone said it at talking as well there during the week, or at the end of last week, that they're going to bring it to the fans for that forum first, Then they're going to release what the decision is and the direction we're going to go. Either expand the Gallagher in some fashion, as been talked about, or go for the lemon bowl, as we've talked about before, or something along those lines. We'll see, guys, if it's a new stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going back to that point, the initial point from Darren Eales, that for me suggests that the club are doing everything they possibly can from releasing the levels of money to the playing staff, for Eddie Howe to sign players, for the sporting director, obviously Paul Mitchell, that's now in post. They're doing everything they possibly can to ensure that. Now, the old kind of caveat to that was that, but why are they not doing the stadium sponsorship? Why are they not doing the training kit sponsorship or the training ground sponsorship and all those other things, which are valid questions. But I think what's happened with the associated party transaction rules and the fallout from that with Man City, I think has answered that question. I think Newcastle United are trying to be as smart as they possibly can in waiting to find an outcome before they go in, because they're really two pretty big, like, training ground kit sponsor and other sponsorships for training ground or a stadium sponsor, whatever it is. They're very big decisions to make, and when you make those decisions, you're committed for multiple years. You don't want to commit into a 3 or 4 year contract on, say, 20 to 25 million a year on a training kit sponsor, and then all of a sudden APT rules get thrown out and you can get double that amount, and you're thinking, I'm locked into this. We're locked.
Kieran Maguire said the same thing.
Yeah.
And
so that was a smart move. So thinking about what they're saying there, and Darren Eales is saying there, they're clearly doing what is right for the club. And as you mentioned there, with regards to the new stadium, they are waiting and holding back on that. Let's go and have a look. I'm just going to delete these just while we're going on, because I don't want to click on the same one again. What is this one? It says it's frustrating because we want to go A to B in 3 years, but we can't do what was done in the past. You can front load the spend, but you have to pay the piper. There is a frustration by that PSR constraint. If it wasn't for that, we could spend more on the team and accelerate our progress on the pitch. So the good news is that it gets a little bit easier once you've had a good season. But like we had in these accounts, to invest in the future, but the amount will depend on a lot of factors. So just a generalized point of emphasizing that PSR is still an issue, but again, I think it kind of reiterates that in there that we have to do our bit on the pitch.
Yeah, we do, and it also, it might be this quote, but it's kind of linked around this topic. Is that he said if there was no PSR, we would be spending plenty on players. We'd be investing every season every window in players, but we have to play by the rules. Along those lines, he said in the quote as well, and they want PIF want to win fairly, want us to succeed within the rules and not outside them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's see what other bingo card has arrived from here. Let's look at this one here. What does this say? He added, Paul Mitchell and his team have had a period of time now working with Eddie, because ultimately it's about getting the players that Eddie wants. So there's a real alignment in that respect. We're excited about the summer ahead. The question I've got for you, Daz, is, are we in a position now where there is no Eddie versus Mitchell? They are aligned, they're working together. Are you confident in the summer that they are going to do the business together? And that's the key word, together.
Yeah, he said something that he's ultimately he wants to bring in players that that Eddie wants, because Eddie has to work with those players, and he also bigs up Eddie as well. We've got a supreme head coach in Eddie Howe, and so the early teething problems or whatever was made out of those the initial arrival of Paul Mitchell in the summer, coming in mid window, I think they're all put to bed now, and they can probably see the value in each other's work, and they're sound like they're willing to work together. And we still have to have that first signing from Paul Mitchell, and I think we're going to have a few of them in the summer, and they're going to be ones that Eddie Howe wants to use as well. So it's not just one trying to outdo the other. It's a united front, like it has to be, or we're going nowhere. Look at Man United, for example.
Well, would you agree? Would you agree that moving forward, so going from this summer moving forward, that every signing that's made, good, bad, or indifferent, is being is being sort of questioned or being assessed by both Mitchell and Howe, and not one or the other? Would you agree that that's fair?
100%. And if it is a player from Bournemouth, because I know we used to slag Eddie Howe about another player from Bournemouth, so be it. They'll both have signed off from it. And going back historically, Amanda Staveley said at the very start, we can't afford to make a mistake. So these boys, they've had plenty of time to think about it now, who they're going to bring in, and they'll have more time to come the summer. So they will be ready to pounce, and they'll know who they're going after, if they can get them, what price they will be, made a bit of haggling in between, but they'll go gung ho after it, and it will be that united front, 100%.
Yeah, no, I the reason why I asked you is because I agree. That's how I feel. I feel like they need to be assessed together now. So every success needs to be Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe have made a successful signing. If a signing's not successful, it needs to be Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe have not made a successful signing, because they are effectively working together. Paul Mitchell will put in his scouts and his people that he knows from Europe and beyond, and this country, because he's well versed in this country too. But they should be question marked together. And sorry, you were going to come in, Daz?
Yeah, no, because I have this other picture here from ages, and it goes. It's wider than Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell. It's this whole crew here are working together like this. They all have roles to play in making this machine tick and getting us to where we need to be. And we haven't seen it. We've seen different elements of it, like we've obviously now see what Peter Silverstone has been doing behind the scenes, and our revenues have increased. We've seen with James Bunt's impact. We see with Brad Miller and Simon Caper, like the whole thing with the stadium and how we're going down that direction. And again, Darren Neal's coming out today and tying it all together. It shows. It's all positive. I suppose is the final message. It's all positive, and we've got a lot of good things to look forward to in the medium to long term.
If you look at that, Daz, if you look at that image there, there's a kind of, it's interesting because obviously we know what Darren Neal's is all about, so we can kind of just park him for a second. Paul Mitchell will know more about this summer, because this will be the first summer that he'll actually be able to bring players in, which ultimately is the thing that us as fans care about the most. But he's already proven his credentials by the money raised from Miggy and the money raised from Lloyd Kelly, potentially, when it's done. Loan fee, 20 million. Peter Silverstone, you can argue, has already kind of proven his worth by the upmark in revenue from what he's managed to get from the Adidas, from the seller, from obviously with Champions League football aside. But there's a lot of other sponsorships, smaller sponsorships, that have mounted up to a more significant amount of money that he's brought in. And holding off these other two deals because of the APT situation, he's almost kind of been shown now to prove his worth from that perspective too. Like, Brad Miller we're going to see in the future because he's heavily involved with the stadium and the training ground. So that stuff, he'll be one that we will assess on this channel in a bit more detail in the months to come, I imagine. Simon Kappa, I think, is from a financial point of view. Again, we're seeing his worth because the financial situation's improved. We'll probably know more about him in the next couple of years, more so than anything. But the one that I wanted to look at the most is, you look at James Bunce. What you're seeing from James Bunce now is a person that's come in and made this team better, a lot fitter. Put what's happened right now aside, but for the long part of this season, with very small numbers, he has allowed us to really kind of kick on. And with the small squad that we've been able to go this deep into the season without hardly any injuries up until this point. And we are at breaking point. We know we've lost 2 other players, so the squad's even smaller now. But would you agree with that assessment on all of those people involved, but certainly James Bunce at this point in time in particular? Forget the more recent up until this point.
Yeah, it's kind of it is a bit hard to do that, but I know looking back, I remember singing his praises there towards like a couple of games, 10, 15 games into the season when we're on that run and when we didn't have that many injuries. And who's to know as well? Maybe what, because Isaac was a doubt for that Brighton game. Maybe it was premeditated as well. If you feel anything at all, come off. And that could have been coming from Bunce as well. That because with one eye on the West Ham game and the final, that to manage it. So but he has played a key role, and it came via Paul Mitchell as well. But Eddie Howe is always singing his praises as well. So again, that tight knit of a team that we have there in the background. Keeping us ticking over. But I would agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look. There's a couple of other little snippets here. We've already looked at that one. Let's get rid of that one there. And then there was one other final one.
Isaac.
Yeah, that one we've already covered. So they're kind of the main points in there. There's a couple of other points that I wanted to bring up. But is there any questions? I think there's a couple.
Yeah, there is, and
from a couple of my because there's a couple of questions that I wanted to ask or throw our way as a
let's stick with the topic we're on at the moment. We'll revert back to the others. There was one here I saw earlier that I really liked the question. This one from Steve Middlemas. And he says, is it more important to get a new stadium or get the team sorted first? This is an easy question. It's both, because they don't impact each other. Because we could buy 10 stadiums and put them in different locations. One in Leicester, one in Liverpool, one in Galway, one obviously in Newcastle. Look, you put them loads of different places. But yeah, so they're not contingent of each other. The first team has impacts with PSR, but a new stadium doesn't. A new stadium, once it's built, will add to our spend and our income and what we can then spend on the first team. So the answer to this one, Steve, is both to get started.
Agreed. Absolutely. We can get some stuff. We can get both sorted. That is for sure. In that, actually, I think that is the plan. I think Eel said they're taking the time in the stadium, not making that decision. We had the clip up earlier, and they want to make the right decision with it. But the investment's clearly there, and as we've said, it's separate to the investment that we can make in our team. So, look, I think we can make both. I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's an announcement on the stadium, the training ground, and then making new signings all at the same time. I just think it could be a real feel-good factor in this.
All the same day. Have to take a day
Well,
off then.
well,
And an easy contract. Go and throw
yeah.
that in as well.
We might have to do a 24-hour show just to cover it all. But no, in all seriousness, I think this summer could be a real feel-good factor summer where you get the announcements and the projection of all three. We get signings coming through the door. We get players in key positions that are filled finally. Then you've got the stadium and you've got the training ground that are being announced. But on top of that, being announced with images of what it's going to be like and where. And I think that for me that would just set up the summer perfectly. Everyone feels great. People know what's coming. And I think that's been the hardest thing for Newcastle United fans. For us, it's been the hardest thing that we're having to wait for these things. We're imagining it. How many times have we talked about it, Daz, on various different shows throughout the last year and a half about the stadium or the training ground? And we're getting ever closer now where we can actually see something visual that will make us feel that, this is it. So
isn't it always the way, or it's just me with Newcastle, that it's always within reach. It's always nearly there. But wait a little longer, it's there. And does there ever come? Well, it did eventually with the takeover, and it did with certain key star players. But we deserve it when we get it. We really do as a fan base. Let's go to another question.
Yeah.
And it comes from Andy Ford. He goes, what worries me about today's accounts is that we lost 12 million or 11 million, whatever it was, even though we had player sales of 70 million or 71 million. Our turnover is 7th in the Premier League. So to be honest, it's unrealistic to think we should be top 6.
I'm not quite sure about that. If you look at Aston Villa, they made a much bigger loss than us, much bigger. From their figures, I imagine West Ham have made a bigger loss than us. Now, I'm looking at teams that effectively we're in competition with, and those teams that are fighting to be kind of considered that sort of top 7. So you can throw Brighton in there, maybe, okay. They've had a lot of positives recently, but remember, they've just spent 200 million. That will come off their accounts at some point in the years to come, and they won't be able to do everything that they need to do. But if you look around, I just think everyone makes a loss. There's very rarely a team, particularly outside that top 6, that actually makes a huge amount of profit. And let's not forget, if they do make a profit, like a Brighton or whoever, it's because they're selling all their best players. We're not doing that. That's the difference. Yeah. We're keeping our best players. But to keep our best players and to turn a profit on top of that, you've got to be one of those top 6 or getting the revenue of a top 6 level, which then brings in our previous conversation about the training ground at the stadium. You need those things, the stadium in particular, to generate that sort of revenue where you can make a profit and keep your best players. It can be seen as simply as that. People might not agree, but it can be. You need those finances off the pitch, stadium and other things like that, sponsorships, to allow you to make a profit and keep your best players. I think Newcastle United have done a fantastic job the last 2 years. We could have quite easily sold Isak. We could have quite easily sold Anthony Gordon summer. We could have sold Bruno in that June window. We could have sold, and we could have been in a very different position. We could have been a Brentford right now, sitting in sort of 10th place. We could have been a Tottenham or a Man United, but we've not. We kept the best players, and it's kept us in the fight where we are right now.
And not only are we not selling our best players, we're finding it difficult to sell the players we want to offload as well. It's like 3 windows we tried to sell Miggy, and those players linked to Saudi clubs as well, but turned the offers down. So yeah, and look, the likes of Man United, they're making double what we're bringing in. If we're bringing in 320, they're bringing in 680 or whatever it is, and we're holding our own there. And like think back, we haven't brought in anyone. Well, Kelly, but we've got rid of him again. I was in a free transfer, but we haven't brought in anyone recently. We haven't freshened up the squad, and that's to come this summer. But let's move on.
Can I just throw this question up there, because it sticks to what we've just been talking about? Because Claire G puts Villa have players that they can let go. Now, right, who have they actually got that they can let go that they would actually want to? Because I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure they've got players that they would want to let go. They've got players that can command money. Yeah. They've got players that can command money, but so have we. But I think the players that they've got that can command money are the players that they don't. No one can tell me, or you, Claire, or you, Daz, or anybody else, that Aston Villa wanted to sell Duran. Nobody can tell us that they did not want to sell John Duran. They didn't, but they realized that they had to make a sale, and they had to recoup pretty much all of that money, that 70 million, into PSR, because that's how much their deficit was. So they may well sell players, but they didn't necessarily want to. KG just put another one in there. They did well recovering, selling Diaby to Saudi. They did. Again, another player that they didn't want to sell. That's two.
And look at Douglas Luiz.
Douglas Luiz is another one. Yeah, that's three. That was in the same window, actually. Yeah. You just Diaby and Luiz in the same window. Neither of those.
And Alicia. Gone as well.
Oh dear, I forgot. I was thinking who, and then I was like, remember. But so you look at it, and you're looking at that situation. I mean, Daz, who do you think we can sell outside of our top level players that could generate money? Who do you think we could? Because KG's put, I'd hope Longstaff is up for consideration. Would you be throwing him into that mix?
Well, you're getting ahead of yourself there, because you're into squad game territory, and I always try to shut this down and save it for squad game. But I link it back, because Lee Jones has the same kind of a question. He goes, in the summer, would you cash in the likes of Pope, Barnes, Longstaff, etc., to help with some? Yes, most definitely. And there's more. There's Matt Target. There's even Dubrovka. Well, I'd keep Dubrovka now. And but if we got a money offer from Saudi or somewhere, and he wanted to go, then cash out, because we're probably going to bring in Trafford and another keeper as well, hopefully as well, and sell the Greek lad as well, Adi, send him on his way. There's more as well who are. It's debatable whether, like, if we got a very good offer. Even though Willock is playing well in the last few days, and we were going to need him next while, I consider a big money offer for Willock. There's more as well.
Do you think by August the 31st or September the 1st, 2025, do you think Vlachodimos will still be a Newcastle United player, in your opinion?
Well, he's entitled to, because he's got a contract. He's just entitled to sit it out, but he's going to waste his career. He won't be the Greek number one going forward. Then he'd be just sitting on his hands, sitting in his gloves. But I don't think so. No, I think for him, he needs to move on, and I think he'll get a move, even if it's a loan move, just to. There's no point if Eddie has no intention whatsoever to play him, unless there's some remarkable turnaround. But I can't see that happening. That was a financial deal, as we know, and we definitely got the worst part of that deal by Elliot Henderson.
Let's not be reminded of that. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Right, let me see. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to click on this one, but since it's up, are you confident we will still get Champions League? I
What a
haven't
question.
deleted Champions League music off the system, and I never will. Uh, you know, I am still confident we can get it. Because if we don't have hope, what do we have? But I want to see us get a win against West Ham away at West Ham, which will be a difficult game. And you want everyone's heads focused on the game rather than the cup final and protect themselves. But there's also players fighting for spots as well. So why not? Why not? And then kick on after that. And I said it at the start of the season. I think we finished fifth. I'm not going to change my mind on that. I think we can finish fifth.
Yeah, I think the next two are crucial. If we can go into those next two and Carabao Cup to the side for a second, if we can go to West Ham away and Brentford at home, our next two league games, if we can go win those two and get 6 points on the board, we're right in the mix for Champions League. Because after that period, we haven't got the Carabao Cup as a distraction. We haven't got the FA Cup as a distraction. It's all on the league. And I think that's where we need to be. We've had a distraction in the Carabao Cup all season. The FA Cup was then added to that distraction. And I think at that point then, from April onwards, we are fully focused on the league and the rest of those games. And I do think these next two will build us to that. I think we're definitely in the mix for it. But we have to keep winning matches. We cannot afford to slip. I'm not saying we have to win every single match. I would love that, but it's not a reality in terms of, we will drop points here or there, but it's minimalizing where and when we drop the points. Whoever's going to get Champions League football or top four, whichever one you want to consider, is going to have to be semi-consistent. You're going to have to pick up results back to back. And we can't afford to be losing games back to back. And albeit we lost against Brighton in the Cup, but we lost against Liverpool in the league. So we cannot afford to lose Liverpool in the league. And then, is that right? Or do we play Forest after that? No, we played Forest, sorry. We played Forest and then we played Liverpool. So Liverpool was our last league game. I'm confused now. So we can't afford to lose against Liverpool at Anfield and then lose away to West Ham. We cannot afford to do that. That's where I'm at currently.
Cool. I'm going to go to the next question, but before I do, I never explain to people these QR codes at the bottom. So the one, and I'm using my own mouse, but you can't see that. The one underneath Pete, first of all, will bring you to the loaded merch site where we sell a range of loaded items. Actually, I got my hoodie and t-shirt came to me. I love the way it actually arrives. The loaded emblem on the front of the package. So that's class. That is class. But and then underneath me is buy us a beer. So if you aren't watching on your phone, if you hold your phone up to your TV or watch it back again, and you can how the QR code works. I hope you just hold your camera up and it'll bring up the website. Click on the website, then you're in the website. Whatever you want to do after that is your own business, but that's how it works basically. Never really explained that properly. Let's go for the next question, and it's one that we talked about after the show ended last night. Spoiler alert, after each show we spend about half an hour talking again, more stuff after the show. We should just let it run, but sometimes even longer. It's gone on an hour and a half after the show. But this question from the Connett, he says, if you could get 25 to 30 million for Barnes, would you let him go?
Yes.
That is a difference of opinion, a change in stance from Mr. Pete Davey.
Yes. I'll be honest with you. I think if the club can get 30 million for Harvey Barnes, they snap whoever club's hand is paying that hand off. They snap their hand off and they run if they can get 30 million for Barnes. Can we? I think yes. He'll have to have a semi-decent end to the season, meaning scoring a couple of more goals this side of the back end of the season. to prove his worth. He had a good start to the season, scoring goals. I think he's still like third or fourth top goal scorer in our team this season. He's barely kicked a ball. So if he can add a few more goals between now and the end of the season, I think he can. The problem is that maybe due to minutes, but he just doesn't look like he's playing well at the moment. He might need, maybe I was a bit harsh on him. I was frustrated after the Brighton game. I was kind of going in on him and that he needs to deserve his spot. He does need to deserve his spot, but he does need minutes as well. He needs to get up to speed and play matches. This is the perfect opportunity because Anthony Gordon's not fit. So if you ever want an opportunity to prove yourself, it's now. So, what I need to see from him is if he is going to start and he's going to play, he needs to make a contribution. He needs to get a goal. He needs to get an assist. He needs to do something at the top end of the pitch, because what I judge Barnes on is not the same as what I judge Anthony Gordon on. Anthony Gordon will run around and cover every blade of grass and go and make big, long, lung-busting recovery runs. That's not Harvey Barnes. What I judge Harvey Barnes on is final product. I judge him on assists, goals, putting the ball in the back of the net. I need to see that from him. I need to see more. I need him almost to be a little bit selfish. So it's a couple of times against Brighton, gets the ball on the edge of the box. He's playing a nice, easy pass out wide. Just knock it to the side, have a shot on goal. He's capable of scoring. Stop working the keeper because we don't have enough goal scorers in the team.
Yeah, he is one that is not afraid to shoot when he gets in range. I would if we got a decent offer, I'd consider it as well. But I'd consider a lot of things come the summer and come squad game. Should be it always is interesting what we would all do, who we'd hold on to, who we would consider offers for and let go. Well, that's thanks, Colin, for that one. Let's get into a few more. There's a lot of talk. There's at least two questions. I'll actually go to this one from Andy Davis. Newcastle to appeal a red card. And again, the Colin asked a question. Any update on the Gordon appeal? I assume he has no chance. We kind of did cover it earlier. We don't think there's any chance. Dermot Gallagher doesn't think there's any chance.
No. I do think there's a chance that would actually, guys, do you think we would have heard by now if there was an appeal? Do you think we'd have heard by now? Would the club have announced it, or would there be news? Don't
even try to get my hopes up, Pete. I'm saying no. Do I need to play the video again? Just to remind you.
No, because we don't actually know whether they have appealed, though. That's the thing that I'm
Eddie Howe was saying that they were going to, I think, wasn't he, after the game? And he, as you said, he was saying how he hadn't seen it closely, but as you said, he had he's a monitor beside him, so he didn't know what it was.
They normally announce it, though, don't they? They normally announce to say Newcastle United have
actually there was something. I was having my lunch yesterday, and I was like, "What?" It was breaking news, Sky News. And I was like, "Oh, is this?" And it was about the Anthony Gordon thing. And I said, "What's happening here? Is this something to celebrate?" Newcastle are considering making an appeal. I thought, "Should we knew that the day before? What's the news there?" It's definitely not a breaking news. You wouldn't even get that loaded for breaking news. Never mind, Sky Sports. Sorry, Pete, to slag Sky Sports off.
Get out.
Sky Sports Pete Davey. Right, back to the questions. Yes, the ref is confirmed as well, John Brook, and I saw Richie Sildon has a tweet out as well that we haven't. He's refed a few of our games as well, and we haven't lost when he's refed. And we're putting all these permutations that this is a good omen, and maybe it is.
The two Arsenal games, I think, the Arsenal game in the league in November, which we won 1-0, and then the Arsenal game, the second leg at St James's Park, which we won 2-0. So I think they were the two games. I think he's refed this season, so like people are now speculating that he's a good omen because we've won both of those games against obviously a top team in Arsenal. So can he make it 3 against Liverpool? We take what we can get at the moment, Daz. We take what we can get in terms of
exactly. Yeah. Little confidence things. Yeah.
Mine.
So let's see. Tom Dixon asks, do you think Hull will play 5 at the back in the cup final against Liverpool? I think it's a definite possibility. Botman has to be there in whatever state he's in. He has to play, and then I would play it myself. I'd probably do something different against Liverpool, but it's too far, probably far away to make decisions like that yet. How about you, Pete?
I think he will go 5 at the back. I think he will. I think Botman will be fit. I think he'll go Botman, Shaw. I'm going to be positive here. I think Lewis Hall will play.
Hopefully,
I don't think he'll play against West Ham, but I think they'll maybe give him an injection, strap him up, and get him to play against Liverpool, knowing that he could potentially have 2 weeks rest after that, 2.5 weeks rest after that. I don't think he'll go to internationals with his injury. I think he'll get called up, but he won't go. These are just my feelings on it. I think he'll go. I think he'll start with. I think he'll start with Livramento, and yeah, I think he'll play Bruno Tonali and Joe Linton, and then go maybe. Isaac and Barnes, Isaac and Willock, or have Willock as the midfielder, Joe Linton as the forward guy, and transition, or he goes Joe Linton in midfield and goes Barnes and Isaac, because they can, as a two, link up quite well. I think that. Let me hold on. Let's just get the taxes pulled up. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. Let's see.
1 hour later.
Yeah, forget the.
Oh, hang on.
Go on.
Go first.
Is it gone?
Yeah, go. Try and add it again. There you go.
Did it not add on?
We were on the pitch, and I don't think anyone wants to see that for the cup final.
Definitely not. I think this is what I'm going for at this moment in time. It could well change.
This is for against Liverpool now, yeah?
Liverpool, yeah. Forget the fact that it says West Ham. This is what I think for the final. You can critique this at any
the buzzer ready.
Yeah. Get the buzzer ready.
It's going well so far, Pete. I'm not going to lie.
Trying to decide. I'm going to go with this.
Okay.
This is what I think might be the team in the final. Similar setup to how we played against Liverpool. Similar setup to how we played against Arsenal. I think that's what Howe may well go for. This is what I'm thinking at this point. Would you change anything about that setup, Gaz?
Yeah, just as you put it on the pitch now, my eyes are drawn to Harvey Barnes, and I'm just the disappointment of not having Anthony Gordon there is just evident, you know. I know we all know it, but it's just the reality of it then when it sinks in.
Or could it be?
No.
Could he in the final just go for it? I don't know. I'm going to stick with Barnes for now.
No. This is against Liverpool.
Just thought, do we play two up front? Do we play the two together? But I'll stick with Barnes for now. What would you think? Or would you change anything with the team?
You know what? Let's see how Barnes does against West Ham. But I'd even consider Willock there, right? Where Barnes is, right? This might be sounding a bit crazy. But then have him swapping with Joe Linton. And when we're in the defensive mode, he's coming back. I know that leaves Isaac isolated, but that could work as well. Them swapping there, they are used to swapping, and Willock has done well when he's kind of been out wide. Let's see what Harvey Barnes has to show in the game against West Ham. That position is up for grabs. Who takes that slot there with Anthony Gordon missing?
Looking at that,
and there's obviously there's no Murphy there either.
Would you play Murphy? Where would you fit him in?
Well,
or would you go
Isaac?
Would you go like that?
There, yeah. And then again, you have a bit of cover where Murphy will track back a bit as well, and he's got to go up and down the pitch, and then switch it and to a Willock or a Barnes later on. So there's three in the mix there if it's that formation.
Yeah, because Murphy will come and sit.
Yeah, he'll wander there. Yeah, he'll
find his way into these areas here. Moving forward, he's got pace in the back line. Who's just put that in there? I've just seen the comment from Daniel. Daniel, we're not talking. Ignore the West Ham badge. We're looking to the final for this one. I just saw the comment right at the bottom of the screen because the rest of the screen I can't see.
Yeah, we'll do West Ham in away days later this week. But
it's interesting how it could work because initially when we had that team, I mean, if you did have it like that, or Joe Linton the other way, whichever way you have it, at times during Liverpool, we kind of went into this when we didn't have the ball. And then when we did have the ball, we kind of very quickly transitioned into that. And we had obviously Bruno pushing up, Joe Linton pushing up, or whoever was on that side. I think it was Willock. This was Gordon, this was Willock. And it was kind of like we all push forward as a four. We could potentially have that.
Pete, as well, that Char there is going to go wandering as well. So he'll find himself. You'll see him up near our penalty. It's the Liverpool penalty box, and you're going, and he could swoop in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting one to maybe come back to.
Yeah. Like I said, for next week.
Yeah, definitely, and we can revisit it then because let's be honest. By next week, we could have some confirmations either way. Botman, Hall, Isaac, Gordon, all of these could be confirmed. We could hopefully, fingers crossed, get some good news from all of those situations. So, just something I just wanted to kind of just explore.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Stay tuned for away days this week. No confirmations or anything yet. But we'll stay tuned.
He did get back to me today. He's tied up with work all week, but he's trying to make it work. He's trying to make it work. So hopefully we'll get Lawless on.
For you, Tom.
We'll probably have a little bit of a discussion after the show, Daz, on how we potentially make that work. But cool. Yeah, Lawless, he loves coming on. He enjoys the chat. But as with all of his work, always seems to get in the way of a good show.
Last two questions. I'm not answering this from Kenzie. It's way too. Who is the first player you would have in and out in the summer? Not answering who's coming in, but no, I'm waiting for a fully loaded transfer show for that. But going out, I'm going to say tune into Squad Game when we do put that out.
That's going to be fun.
Just live, yeah. But this. You know what? Maybe Trafford might be the easiest answer there if I was to roll back on what I just said. But no comment yet, Kenzie. Sorry. And this one I'm going to go to from Jordy 2 for Life as well. He says, I wish I had a pound for every time Dan Potts has mentioned Isak for Arsenal. I'd be a millionaire. Now, at the same time, Newcastle fans, Brentford Brentford are probably saying the same thing about all the times that we mentioned Bueno to Newcastle. So, but any comments there, Pete, on that one?
You know what? I said it on 12th Man on Monday. When I hear Arsenal and Isak, I'm just like, oh, for God's sake, again. Like, I'm bored of it now. I'm bored. Like, and it makes you laugh with Potts. Like, I love Potts, but like he all day Monday, all day yesterday. I say all day, but like, I don't know if you've seen Daz that and people in the chat that account that's been duping everybody into thinking that Isak had said he was gonna.
Yeah.
Everybody's fell for it. Everybody's been sending me the same image. It's been going on every single group chat that I'm in that's not Newcastle related, and convinced that he's actually leaving off this fake account. Potts fell for it again. And he put in there, he put in there, oh, so he's off to Liverpool then, and yeah, we're not getting Isak, I'm not even interested, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. It's pointless, he ain't coming to us. And then he goes on the show and starts talking about, yeah, I would love Isak to come to us. So 1 minute, he's not part of the conversation. The next minute, you're talking him back into existence again. And I'm just like, come on, Potts, like, it's crazy.
Just,
like,
they should be looking. They should be like. I wish we were looking towards this player myself, and we talked about it before. But his price would be out of our range, I imagine. But Benjamin Sesko's who they should be going after, and just go get him. I don't want them to get him, but get someone off that ilk. That is it. We leave it there for the questions. Make sure you smash that like button as well. We never said that. Make sure you smash the like button. I'm sure someone has said it in the chat. But that is it. We will be back again. We'll be back for away days, as Pete has mentioned there, and we'll try and sort that out for everyone. But yeah, he's going nowhere. He's staying put. Our CEO says so. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Sir.